All right, so this is my setup that I have here. Now, I am actually not going to be showing you how I mix these ingredients on this particular tea because I have some pre-made tea for this kind since I use it every night. Now, it's not particularly colorful or special looking like some teas, but it works. It does the job. So I'm not going to be showing you how I mix it, partially because I already have some made, and partially because I am completely out of chamomile and I am almost out of valerian root. I have to make a trip to the apothecary. So anyway, I have already taken some of this, and for a whole teapot like this, which is not a particularly big teapot as you can see in comparison to my hand, which by the way, I heated the water in this teapot for about 3 minutes in the microwave. With this tea, you are going to want to be mindful of your temperature of your water, since it does have 2 different types of flowers in it, and flowers are particularly susceptible to burning in too hot of water, which will make your tea extremely bitter. If you like bitter things, that's fine, but unless you like your tea being terribly bitter, you're not going to want to do that. So I would suggest a water temperature, if you happen to have a way of measuring the temperature, or you have an electric kettle, of about 190 to 200 max on this. You do not want it to be boiling, or you will not be a happy camper when you go to drink it. Anyway, so for a whole teapot, I used about 3 of these of the tea. Now this is a spoon from Teavana, and this is about a teaspoon. So I used that, and I went ahead and scooped that into my little tea strainer right here, as I will show you. It's just in there, and just looks like, well, looks like a bunch of different plants that are stuck in a thing and submerged in water. Anyway, so that has been brewing for a little while. It is not quite ready to be poured. I would suggest steeping this tea for anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes. Usually I find that I steep it for about as much time as it takes for the water to get to a drinkable temperature for me, and that works. Now, I wanted to go over the ingredients here because I totally forgot to do that for you. Now, there are 5 ingredients in this. The first ingredient is valerian root, and that one is very good for inducing sleepiness. And it also, I found, gives me very vivid dreams. Like, I have very interesting, colorful dreams with this tea. And I know that it's this tea because I didn't used to have dreams like that. And the moment I started using this tea, it's consistently every night after having it. So that's the first ingredient. The second ingredient is chamomile, which is well known for its relaxing properties, and it is a mild sedative. The next thing is lavender, specifically English lavender. You're not going to want to use French lavender. French lavender is usually for external purposes and just smelling nice. Doesn't taste very good. English lavender is more for internal use. So those are the 2 flowers that I was referring to earlier, is the lavender and the chamomile, and those are susceptible to burning if your water is too hot. So be mindful of that. The next ingredient is catnip, and you might be thinking, oh, catnip, well, that's kind of weird because I give that to my cat and he goes nuts. But no, catnip is actually in the mint family, and I don't like typical mints because they're too strong for me and they tend to give me a headache, unless of course I have a headache already, in which case they make my headache go away, and I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, I use catnip because it's a very, very mild form of mint, and it is very good for anxiety and for relaxing you. And then the last ingredient, let me make sure I've got all my ingredients. I don't want to leave any out. So wait, we've got chamomile, lavender, valerian root, catnip. Oh, and the last one, yes, the last one is hops. Now, hops are extremely bitter. I'm going to warn you. So I only use a very, very small amount of those in comparison to the other things that I use. So when I'm mixing this up, per serving that would typically go in a single mug, not for a teapot. When I'm making a batch, I just make sure that I do proper proportions. Like I'll do like 3 tablespoons of each ingredient that's a tablespoon, and then 3 pinches of the ingredients that only require a pinch in the recipe. So typically for 1 portion, I do about 1 teaspoon of the chamomile, 1 teaspoon of the lavender, a little tiny bit less than 1 full teaspoon of the valerian root because it is rather bitter, a teaspoon of the catnip, and a pinch of hops. Now, like I mentioned, the hops are very bitter, so you can adjust to taste. If you do not like the hops, obviously you can leave them out, but they are very good for helping you sleep deeply and getting to sleep. And you might just want to adjust it to a smaller amount. When I say a pinch of the hops, by the way, I mean approximately 1 flower of the hops. And you can obviously adjust down or up depending on your taste. So that's that. I think at this point that this has probably been steeping long enough that I can pour it out and show you what color it is. This is very hard to do while I'm filming. So it is just a very light yellow color. And that's what you end up with. Kind of a yellowish green. That's mostly from the chamomile that it ends up being that color. And then you've got your sleepy tea. Now, if you wanted, you could use a different mug. Clearly, you don't have to use a tiny little funny cup like mine. But I like that one because the liquid cools faster and then I can drink it. But I also have my Camp Nano flashlight, fiction flashlight mug that I frequently use. As you can tell by the fact that it is totally stained on the inside. I scrub it every day and that color doesn't seem to go away. But anyway, that is the first tea. I will be bringing you other teas tomorrow. I will be filming those at another time because I want to go to bed now. I want to have my delicious sleepy time tea and go to sleep. So I will talk to you more tomorrow and bring you more teas.